Welcome back, everyone. Today's video is going to be an art video, but also, let's just talk. Today's the day after Christmas, or at least when this video is coming out it is. Actually, today is Christmas for me. Most people that know me know that Christmas is my favorite holiday. I don't try to hide it. I love Christmas. Usually, for me, that means I get to go to my grandparents' house in Elgin and hang out with all of my cousins, my second cousins, my grandparents, my great aunts, my great uncles, and all of my extended family. And because I'm Southern, we all hang out in a barn. But this Christmas is a little different because of COVID-19. I don't think I'm really supposed to say that on YouTube, but here we are. Now, Christmas isn't the only thing that has changed this year because of the virus. The whole year has been different, and for me, particularly so, not just because of the virus. Sure, we've all been in quarantine, but I've found this year particularly eye-opening for some reason. This year, and really the reason I started this YouTube channel, was all about sort of finding myself and exploring what I wanted to do. I had realized I wasn't really happy doing what I was doing and decided that I wanted to be more creative. So here we are on YouTube trying to express that in a way that makes sense to me. The reason that I bring this up is because I think that a lot of people are going through something similar during this time and during the virus. Christmas is especially hard because we're supposed to be with our families at this time of year, and it's just not a normal year. And while all of that kind of, sucks, it's kind of okay in my book. At least for me, I've found this year incredibly helpful. I feel better than I think I ever have before, and I'm learning a whole lot about myself. See, I'd like to take an optimistic outlook on this year and say that that can be true for everyone. Anyways, the point of this little intro, or whatever this is just to say, I think that this year, while odd, can still be a good year. It's strange, we're not necessarily with our families like we usually are, and we're all cooped up in our houses and are afraid of what's out in the world, but it's a good time to reflect, figure out who we are, what we want to do, and generally just try to become closer with the things that matter to us. And in my mind, that's kind of what Christmas is all about. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to what the bulk of the video is going to be about, which is random Christmas shenanigans. Also, I'm going to draw a photo of my family during Christmas time the way I kind of see us all, in the style of the show Hilda by Luke Pearson. Like I said, I usually go to my grandparents to spend Christmas, and they live out in Elgin, which is kind of rural, and means you can do whatever the hell you want to do up there. It's great. Usually the entire extended family is there, on my mom's side that is. So that means cousins, second cousins, cousins once removed, cousins twice removed, my grandparents, my great aunts, my great uncles, and basically anyone else who wants to come. Everyone's kind of a part of the family if they'd like to be. Now, you'd imagine that having that many people in one place can get pretty hectic, and while you are absolutely and totally right, it's kind of manageable too. Mostly everyone just gets shoved in a barn. People stay at their respective sort of closer family houses, and then when we all get together, we all hang out in my grandparents' barn, or just out sort of in their lawn or field, or whatever you'd like to call it. Now, because it's rural, that means you can get up to all sorts of shenanigans. Starting with the tamest form of tomfoolery would probably be when we were kids. See, my brothers and I are, brothers. And when we were younger, my grandparents had some tricycles. When you're a little tiny kid, like at least 10 or younger, it's pretty normal to ride tricycles or, ride bikes or something of the sort around. And trust me, we rode those tricycles straight into the ground. Somehow, though, they're still alive. And that kind of brings me to what happens when you grow up as brothers. Now, when we go down there, the tricycles are still there. However, they've not changed size while we have. That doesn't mean we're not going to ride them. Frequently when we go now, even though younger cousins and everyone ride those tricycles as well now, my brothers and I love to have tricycle races and such down the driveway of my grandparents' house, which you can imagine that a 6'2" tall young adult riding on a children's tricycle may not make a lot of sense. And let me tell you, it does not. Nowadays, when we ride them, our knees are basically straight up to our ears and we have to pedal like a clown who just made his big break. However, alternatively, tricycles also work great as scooters. And employing that master strategy, you can go a lot faster. So it's always a fun time to watch three basically grown men grab some tricycles and use them as scooters as they streak down a old couple's driveway, somehow holding on to that youthful glee that we all know and love. Now, as I said, that is easily the most tame of the shenanigans that we get up to down in Elgin. Growing up a little bit, my grandpa got a four-wheeler, and this wasn't like a single seat, sit down on it kind of four-wheeler, this was like a full little go buggy cart kind of thing. My brothers and I, of course, took the opportunity to capitalize on this event and turn it into a fully weaponized vehicle. How, you may ask, did we turn it into a fully weaponized vehicle? Simple. One person was in the trunk, standing straight up, while the other person drove, and the person in the trunk had a bow and arrow, and we shot it at hay bales. Is that safe? Probably not. Was it fun? Absolutely. We did get in trouble one time after a while when we were driving that four-wheeler around and accidentally went over to one of the houses that was being worked on in the sort of housing division that was going in that area, and met up with some other kids that we didn't really know, but they were on top of this large dirt mound that was left by the construction, and when we drove by, they started sort of throwing these like dirt clods at us, and my brothers and I, of course being the incredibly intelligent youngsters we were, decided it was a good idea to also grab some dirt clods and basically do donuts around this mound while chucking them back and forth at these kids. Of course, their parents saw this going on outside and decided calling the cops was a good idea. I was the one driving. I believe I was only about 13 at the time, and therefore the cop did not appreciate that very much. However, luckily, we sort of smoothed it over. My grandparents talked to the cop, and everything got back underway the way it should be. No more dirt clod throwing, though. Another activity that we did basically every year once we were old enough was my older brother, me, and one of my cousins would go down to a lake that was nearby. Originally, it was kind of just us three because we were some of the oldest, and we were more of the exploratory ones out of the bunch. But as others grew older, they also started to join us and come hang out. This one wasn't too crazy, but it was very nice to just kind of go and like watch the sunset, throw rocks, and do stupid lake things. One time we got a pretty funny time lapse where we moved in complete slow motion for the entire filming of it so that we could get the sunrise in time lapse, but also get us moving. But we wanted us to be moving at a regular speed, so we did every motion super slowly. I wish that I still had a time lapse, but while recording and editing this video, I wasn't able to find it. I also remember one particular Christmas where I introduced a game to some of my cousins called Quest. I particularly enjoyed this Christmas because, as a lot of people know, I'm a pretty big nerd. D&D nerd specifically. I love D&D and I love tabletop role-playing games and things like them. So when we were younger, my friends and I created one because we didn't know that D&D existed. Basically, our game was called Quest, and it's just D&D but without any of the rules. So the way it works is there's a quest master and there are players, and the quest master is the world and all of the people that aren't the players, and also decides how everything goes. It's easier to play when you're younger because you don't really question why something happens or if it's fair, you just kind of like having a good time. When I was around 15 or 16, I decided it would be kind of fun to see if my cousins could play it and see how well they would do in the game with coming up with ideas and role-playing and all that kind of thing. So I went ahead and, drafted up some weird characters for them to play, and we went ahead and did a game. It was certainly interesting, and you could definitely tell based on age how people got it and how people didn't get it, and some people were interested and some people were not, but it was fun because it's a game that anyone can play with little to no barrier of entry. The characters that I made for this game were absolutely whack. One of them, I think, was like a sentient pencil that basically couldn't do anything, but I think ended up getting everyone killed anyways. Another one was like a man made of jelly and could fit through keyholes and things like that. One was a gelatinous cube, kind of, but sentient. And I think somebody was a plushy toy dinosaur that couldn't speak unless they found a specific item that I had put somewhere in the map. And then, of course, the most interesting and weird character of them all, a human man. He was a janitor. My older brother got the pleasure of playing him. That game was so strange. I remember at one point one of my youngest cousins was playing a two-headed dragon with my other cousin, and each of them had a head. One of them was pretty level-headed, and the other one wanted to do everything right away, and it was hilarious to see them try to figure out how to work together as a single unit. Eventually, I think it ended up with one of them biting the other head off so that they would have control of the body, but that's neither here nor there. Point is, that game was incredibly fun, and it made for a wonderful Christmas. Finally, past all of the sort of shenanigans and things that we did one Christmas or another, or got in trouble or didn't, some of the things that I love the most about this holiday just come from tradition, I guess, or things that families do just themselves. For us, that means seeing people I don't get to see during the entire year, drinking hot spiced tea that my great aunt makes, or playing with the newest and youngest cousins because it's hilarious to watch them try to use the same tricycles that we did when we were kids. So Christmas is my favorite holiday. A lot of people may not agree. Some people like Halloween and some people like Thanksgiving, but for me, the fact that I get to see so many people that I love and care about and get to do so many things that are so close to my heart that I have been doing since I was 2 years old means the world to me. And that is why I love this holiday so much. So, as always, thank you for watching, and I hope that everyone has a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. As always, thanks for watching this video, and remember to like, subscribe, and share with your family, your friends, and that weird neighbor down the street. Also, if you like what I do here, be sure to check out my Patreon to help out. And until next time, I hope everyone has a nice day.